So I chose to learn how to make a game menu startup screen that you might see when you first start a game. So yeah, I started off by making the background of outer space, and I did this by using the CC ball effect. And this basically, I just made the balls super small to look like stars. That's what they look like normally, and I also scattered them a lot. And I also rotated it throughout the composition to make it look like space was actually moving. So the next thing I did was make this rocket ship, and I really just used the pen tool to make all of the shape. And so I made this outer shape and a cockpit inside and a flame coming out. For the inner cockpit, I used a couple of keyframes to imitate a glow effect, or like a blinking effect. And then after making these couple of keyframes, I used a thing where I pressed the keyframe for opacity while pressing the option key, and I got this, and then I chose to add on a property of loop out, and then that made it just blink for the entire composition instead of me having to repeat the keyframes over and over. For the flame, I just filled it with a gradient, and I used these endpoints to adjust where I wanted the flame to start and end. And then to kind of get the bouncing sort of effect thing, I used the same method where I selected the option key and clicked on this keyframe for the start point, and I manually typed in the location of the top endpoint and then had it randomize the other endpoint so that it's different each time. And then for basically the entire spaceship object, I just added a glow effect that I think looked really nice against the black outer space background. And then lastly, for the spaceship, I just added position keyframes to give it a sort of path throughout space, and I tried to make it kind of natural and not just one consistent movement. Like here you can see it's dipping down and it's not just consistently going up. To sort of spice up the background and add more to it, I also added colored highlights coming from the side to, I guess, represent the glow of other objects in space, like planets. And basically I did that by just creating really big blobs of shapes with the pen tool, and I filled it in. And then I added a fastbox blur to the object and increased it a bunch. And then I rotated them so it matched the direction of the ship. Like for example, with the orange highlight, I had it rotate as the ship was coming to a vertical position. And then I also had the blue highlight come in from the left while the ship was going up. And I used the same method for the blue highlight with the fastbox blur. And then another thing I added to the background was a bunch of planets that kind of just flew by as the rocket ship was traveling. To do this, I just created a circle and then filled it with a gradient again, and then I used endpoints to kind of select where I wanted that gradient to go. I also keyframed the movement so that it made sense with the direction of travel of the rocket, and I also adjusted how long it took for them to travel based on their size. And then finally I made the title, and this is the title I gave to my Zenith project too. And to make these edge pieces around it, I just inverted the text with this button here so that it was outlined. And then I used a masking box with feathering to make it blend in, and I did the same for the top one as well. And then I also included a play button because it is a game, and for the triangular button, to create this blinking effect, I used the same technique that I did with the spaceship's cockpit, and I also added a glow effect to it. And then lastly, I just added some animations for everything to fade in and also fade out nicely. And then I added some music and also keyframed that in and out. But yeah, that's it.